We are live. Hello and welcome to the Unapologetic Geek. I am here with my lovely panelists, and today we are going to discuss disaster movies. But before that, let's go ahead and go around and say hi, introduce ourselves, and say hi to all the people in the chat. I see Michael DeCosimo's here. Hello. Danny Staten is, of course, here from South Carolina, as always. Vim Vanderstraten is here. Hello, Vim. Always good to see you. Slasher Fred is here. Awesome. And I'm sure a lot more people are going to start trickling in because that's the way these things go. And yeah, I will try, as usual, to keep up with the chat, but no promises. So now I will go ahead and move on in clockwise fashion to Scott. Say something.
Hello, I am Scott. As you can see, I also have my own YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and I'm starting a TikTok channel, Harold the Hatter, with family-friendly engagement gaming, and it's a place where we build a positive community that's helpful, nurturing, and supportive of one another. So check out those videos.
We're actually simulcasting there.
Yes, we are. And also, we're simulcasting on our From Here to Paternity Twitter channel.
You just say Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. So, anyways.
Okay, I guess I said clockwise, so I guess it's Thrash's turn. We're gonna make this really
clockwise
confusing.
Orange.
Clockwise orange.
Does that hold water?
Yeah.
Works for me, man.
There you go. So I'm Thrash Pondo, of course, from Thrash Pondo Ponds. Got my own YouTube channel. Discuss vintage sci-fi, horror, literature, and film, a specialty. Also provide a series of the greatest dad jokes ever conceived of, most of them by me. And I have my own live
That's what
chat.
made me fall in love with you, Thrash.
Little full of himself.
That's what made me fall in love with you. Yes.
Yes, they do call me conceited. I can't see why. And I have my own live chats Sunday nights at 7:30. And thank you for laughing at that one. I'm in a very silly mood today.
Well, good. We need that
Sunday
energy.
night 7:30.
Silly energy is good.
Okay,
And take
it's
it,
your turn.
Damien.
It's
Damien.
me. Oh, okay.
That one over
I'm
there.
Damien. I don't have any channels or Twitches or whatever you guys call them. I'm not up on the whole
But he is twitchy.
I am a little twitchy. I have had a little bit of coffee this morning, so if I start shaking, it's just. Anyway, I am a residential designer. Anybody needs some house plans drawn? Hit me up. Just let the unapologetic geek. I almost called you the apologetic geek. Unapologetic geek know, and I'm sure he can.
That's my mirror universe version.
Shoot you my way there. Yeah, that's you without the goatee. Is that it?
Yeah.
Well,
Although I recently shaved it, so it kind of looks like
did
it's
you?
not there.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's all pixelated, so it's hard to tell right
It's
now.
very my internet connection's terrible. Yeah.
we caught the reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Channel member Indy is here. Hello. Quoting Erwin Allen. Yeah, you're on the right track. Sean Ennis is here. Tracy is also here. Hi Tracy. How you doing?
Bubba, Tracy, good to see you.
And Lance has moved into the chat. I'm guessing his
guess
internet was not working too well,
Yeah.
so it happens.
Didn't look like it was.
A lot of that going around, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, my internet's doing terrible. We've had thunderstorms for about 2 weeks every single day, and I don't know, it's messing with my internet.
I forgot to introduce Morris here. He has joined.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he is.
Very
He's
important.
right here. Hey, Morris.
Morris.
I've got
Mr.
I've got
Pickles.
Bastet.
Oh, yeah.
I've got Bastet right here hanging out
Nice.
in the jungle.
Oh, she's pretty girl. Yeah.
That set
Mis-
is in Hound.
Bastet? No, not Bastet. It's a cat named Bastet, which is the Egyptian goddess of cats. So.
Oh,
Gotcha.
that's awesome. Yeah, Mr. Pickles is in he has reached the age of mischief. Before he was getting into mischief by mistake, by being curious, just being a kitten and investigating everything and get into trouble. Now he is purposefully getting into trouble everywhere that he can. So he will probably not join us today unless he kicks Morris off his perch here. So anyway,
Well, Tracy brings up a good point. It is Cinco de Mayo.
Oh,
If
that's
I'd known
right.
that, I would have made a themed
Dang.
episode, but I never think that far ahead.
Now I have to have Mexican for dinner. Dang it.
We should,
Yeah,
we
that's-
should put Ween
it all
on in the
planned
background. Cinco de Mayo is.
I could make it
Thursday.
Mexican food tonight. I could totally do it.
See, I already bought fried chicken from Winn-Dixie, though. They have the best
We're-
fried chicken. So
So make
we
fajitas.
planned. We
Oh,
planned.
Dixie. Wow.
We
they
planned
have
first things that
best.
we're doing it.
they have the best fried chicken in the deli. Oh, it's better than Publix. I don't care what anybody says. It's definitely better than KFC.
I miss
They murder
Publix.
their
I don't
chicken
really miss Winn-Dixie, but I do miss Publix.
now.
Yeah.
Publix
Are you
is a
in
good,
Florida?
Anyway.
good store. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Florida thing. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that when I used to go to Daytona all the time. I remember Publix and Winn-Dixie. So
Mhm.
the only place I knew where both of those two chains were present would be in
Were they-
Florida.
were they?
So I took a stab.
Yeah.
Good
I am
book,
in
by the way. Also,
Florida.
All my friends know the Flow Rider.
Actually, this is kind of the Floribama area. We're kind of close to the border
Yeah.
there. So
Baby, you're a song. You make me want to. I'm sorry, that's Florida, Georgia.
Yeah.
I work with what
Tracy
I
is
got.
also a Florida person, by the way.
No kidding.
oh, I didn't
I
realize
don't
that.
I could pull the meat off the fried chicken and do fried chicken tacos. That would be that's not a bad idea.
I'd still hold up
that
for
would be
fajitas.
nice.
Yeah.
Fajitas, make
It's giving me
fajitas.
ideas. Oh, fajita, even fried chicken
Fajitas are always good too, yep.
Sounds like a plan right there. Anything that comes in a wrapper shell, that's
You're welcome,
that's
Lance,
technically Mexican, right? So
Yeah.
Let's
there
go to
you
D's. Let's go to D's. All of us to D's.
D's?
Damien's.
Oh, Damien.
D's place. Yeah.
I thought it was a chain of Mexican restaurants in the southeast. Or
I thought he was
No,
setting up a
no.
joke about nuts, but
Well, yeah.
or ladies' undergarments.
I guess we're hungry, Vim. I don't know.
Mm.
I know, right?
We're something. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, good point, Vim. We should probably get back on track here.
Let's just
Yes,
start
yes,
the
yes,
show.
Disaster movies. So I have taken the liberty of defining disaster very loosely, as I always do, because I don't like to be limited. But there is one caveat.
What caveat?
I'm not going to talk too much about alien invasion movies since we've already covered that extensively. I do have one on my list, but I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about it, and it's more of a disaster movie than an alien invasion movie anyway. It's only like technically an alien invasion movie, and we'll get to that. But as usual, I get to start because it's my channel, and I am going to start with one of the classic, one of the ones everybody's probably already got on their list, and that's the Poseidon Adventure. This is probably
it
my
is on my
favorite
list.
disaster
Ew.
movie.
Yeah.
I've
Bastard.
watched this movie a bajillion times. Everything about it. Now I've got Morning After stuck in my head. And Gene Hackman as this, edgy priest screaming at God at the end for having to like sacrifice himself. Shelley Winters drowning and having that heart attack. And everything about this movie is fantastic. It is, I think, the quintessential disaster movie. You have all of the characters, and all of the characters are interesting. There's not a wasted one in the bunch. They're not all likable, but they're all interesting. And you've got the chaos of the event of the Poseidon flipping over and ruining the dining room. The big giant Christmas tree. Like, how the heck do you get that on a cruise ship?
Assembled on site.
I don't even know where to begin. I just want to talk about the whole movie. It's so good.
We should do a watch
And,
along like RNG does.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we should do. We should just have a watch.
They-
Just
They-
put a
they
little
actually
timer in the
used
corner.
They used that Christmas tree as a ladder to get up to the balcony. I just
They
watched it
did, that's
recently.
right,
Yeah, it was a
yes.
metal Christmas tree covered in garland, basically. So
And then there was the more conventional pastor who was all trying to, we should just have faith and let's just stay here in this room. And then they all die. And they're trying to climb up the Christmas tree all at once and they knock it
Yep.
over. The panic and everybody,
Yeah.
and they just have to close the door on
Oh,
them and let them
yeah.
die. That's,
it's like you had your chance. Bye bye.
what a movie.
Well, there's a great message in that scene, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but in times of disaster, people will always gravitate to someone who they think is in charge, regardless of however tacit that in
Very
charge
much
is.
so. Yeah.
And I remember once I was stuck in Boston during there was a threat of an attack, and they shut the T down, and we're all just they dropped us all off at a station. The guy comes up with a clipboard, and for a second I thought he was going to just be bum rushed. People just because they were looking for leadership. The funny thing about that scene where they're all listening to this guy, he was the bursar who knows absolutely nothing about oceanography or naval tactics or anything like that, but he was an employee, so automatically he was in charge. So everyone threw their lot in with him because that would be the automatic thing to do, not putting much realization on the fact that, well, what does he know? He's basically a glorified clerk, you know? So I thought there was a great message in there about survival instincts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Michael DeCosimo brings up the remake, Poseidon, which it's not terrible. It's not that bad. It's not good, but it's not that bad. Like it can't possibly live up to the original. There's also the lesser known sequel, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, with I think it's Michael Caine.
I've never seen that.
They go back to like collect some gold or something. I don't remember. It was very silly.
It was horrible. It was just hers.
I think Thrash is having stomach issues now just thinking about it.
Oh no, it's not I Am Legend. It's not that level.
Hey, I liked I Am Legend.
No, let's not go down this road.
No.
Again with this threat? Yes. Not again, still.
I do too, Damien, but we don't talk about it.
we don't discuss I Am Legend. That's
the movie that shall not be named.
Yeah, exactly. There you...
That Scottish post-apocalyptic movie.
Okay, I think that's good. I think we can move on. So, Scott, your turn. Let's pull from your gigantic list.
I have, I've tried to get as many as I possibly can.
He's an overachiever.
Just so that if we discuss a movie, like I'll have it already here. And also when you go into, just to let everybody know, when you go into the description later on to see the movies, the links, where to find them, all that different stuff, I'm also putting the Rotten Tomatoes listing or percentage, so that way, if you really want to say, like, do I want to watch this or not, all that stuff is there. I'm going to go with the obvious disaster movie, and that's the most recent the Flash movie, because that was just a total disaster of it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, that was just a horrible movie, and it's just a total joke. The movie itself was
a disaster movie. It's not
Anyways,
train wrecks.
Right. Yeah, true. No, so the movie that yeah, no. The movie that I'm going to bring up is actually a phenomenal movie, and it's poignant, especially if you watch it now after what we went through, and that's Contagion. And
yes,
the way, because this movie came out in 2011, and the way that it played out and how they predicted what would happen with this mass contagion of a novel virus that came from China, from a wet market, right? Like from a person messing with food, from an animal that infected that food, that then spread throughout. Like, I swear to God, it's like somebody watched that movie and was like, let's see if this will actually happen. Let's test it out. And then that's how COVID came about. Like the way that it played out and how much we mimicked that movie, which I promise you, not that many people watched. And so for us to like actually play it out the way that they predicted was mind-blowing. And it is a really, really great movie. Not to inspire conspiracy theorists or anything like that, but they even had a conspiracy theorist in there that
Jude
was
Law.
like very which was very Alex Jonesy, very like Joe Rogan-y, like this natural supplement it does the trick, And then they test and they're like, you actually didn't even get infected with this. Like, oh, it was crazy how they nailed this. And the rush, right? Like with like the rush on this supplement and how it mimicked a rush on ivermectin, right? And like it was just fascinating how prescient it really was. It was like, and it's a must see. Like it's 63%.
I remember
it's on Apple.
I remember seeing it when it came out because I see everything Barry Levinson does. Just I had to have it. And I remember thinking it was a little extreme. Like thinking it's a little cartoonish. I don't think it's going to be that bad. And no,
that's kind of how it went. Yeah, I watched that.
It does go a little bit more apocalyptic than what really happened, but it was pretty darn close.
I watched that one during the pandemic because I was kind of, fixated on what was going on, and I was like, oh my god, they predicted this shit.
Right.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said the. Yeah. Anyway,
there was a spike in post-apocalyptic fiction during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, like people were like buying like on eBay and stuff. I was looking for Harry Harrison actually did a novel which I can't find called The Jovian Plague, and a friend of mine had it, and I wish I'd stolen it from him. But it actually again mirrors a lot of the things, and it's crazy how accurate it was. In fact, I deliberately didn't put pandemic movies on my list for something Tug actually pointed out to me once. It was that meme on Facebook. Because of the current situation, all post-apocalyptic books are now under current events.
Contagion's a little too real.
Well played. That's very true.
Excellent.
It's like I remember watching what is it, The Siege after 9/11? That was terrifying. Got a lot of things right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
I love Contagion. It's great. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't need to bring everybody to a stop by mentioning 9/11. Jesus.
Well, I wasn't sure if that was the designated passing of the church. We need some kind of counter or something that shows when we go from one person to another. Because I never want to jump on top of Scott or whoever I'm up after. But then I want to sit here like a buffoon going, who's it, my turn? So,
well, it's 9/11. That should obviously mean like that's Thrash's turn now.
That Thrash is up. I'm not sure how to take that. Actually, I am. I'm certain how to take that thing. No. We have fun. I got to tell you that I agree with Damien. There's a surprisingly large number of films to draw upon under this sub-genre. And it's amazing the sort of width and breadth you got, because they range from literally science fiction to historic drama. So I tried to do like a cross section. I had to throw some sci-fi in there just because that's me.
Well, of course.
But I'm gonna open up with the one that I think is arguably my all-time favorite for a couple of reasons. And it's tricky because there's a lot of competition for that spot, but I'm going to argue with Airport 1970. For some reason, I saw this when I was a kid, and I think it was on HBO, and we had just gotten HBO, so I was watching it constantly, even if it was movies that weren't my thing. And it's just like it's sort of it has everything you really need to make a great disaster movie. The big thing, of course, is the air of plausibility. And I think that's why Alien Invasion isn't really applicable in this list. That you have to suspend disbelief. I mean, I know they're out there, but I mean, are they going to get to us? I mean, an airport disaster is something, speaking of 9/11, is something we know of is plausible for a fact. So you have that. And an absolutely amazing cast. I think everybody in it was at their best. It brings to light something that was a very big hot button when I was a kid, and still is to this day. But the idea of the shell-shocked, mentally damaged veteran. I mean, the villain in this movie is possibly the most sympathetic villain I've ever seen. You feel bad for him. You feel bad for his wife. You feel terrible for them. You're getting a lot of these in the early 70s, and well, even to this day. So much as he's a lunatic, again, if you can feel that bad for the quote unquote villain of the movie, that's something. And not to mention, it inspired, well, among other works, but it inspired, of course, one of my favorite spoofs of all time, Airplane. Airplane, exactly. Once you throw in the 0 hour, of course. So yeah, I had to go with Airport 70. I mean, there were a number of them, and they vary in quality. And that's all I'll say on that. Some were good, some, but 70, I think.
I
was
once
the
did
high
a
watermark.
marathon and watched them all in one weekend. And you're right.
kidding.
It's like you get whiplash, like how drastically they change in quality.
I love that. It's so true. It's the Blues Brothers conundrum.
Yeah. But yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, I mean, I love all of them, even the really terrible ones. I still like them. Like, there's just something about them that draws me to them. But you're right, the Airport 70 with the villain who has PTSD, it's just, that is some good stuff. That is like some really excellent writing. And of course, anything that gave us Airplane deserves credit. So yeah.
Airplane's a great movie.
Yeah.
It really is.
Airplane 2 is funny too, but
Yeah,
It has its merits.
Yeah.
It's
It has
not
William
as good as
Shatner.
does-
It has William Shatner in it.
and Sonny Bono.
All these lights are blinking.
And Sonny Bono, that's right.
beeping. They're blinking and beeping and beeping and blinking. I can't stand anymore.
Commander, yes, this machine does nothing. It just sort of lights up. And then...
See if you can get it to light up in sequence instead of out of order.
That's the most important device in the universe. That's its actual
Yes.
name. The most important
know.
device in the universe.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's in so many shows and movies.
It is.
It's like,
I
it's
did
like in
a
everything.
supercut in
Yeah.
one of my videos where I like showed it in a bunch of different sci-fi movies
Yeah.
from the 80s, including
I've got to
Airplane
see
2.
that. I've gotta see that.
I don't remember what video it is. It's one
I'll
of my
just watch
videos.
them all.
Mhm.
It's probably The Last Starfighter because I remember it's in there. So maybe that one.
She was hot.
Yeah. And she's
Sorry.
nice. She talked to me.
Lucky bastard. That's the second you bastard today. I'm so sorry, Doug. I don't know what kind of check my blood sugar.
Okay, Damien, your turn.
Moving on. Okay. So Scott kind of cued in on earlier on one of the things I was going to say, which is I wasn't sure if you were talking about movies that were disasters or movies that are about disasters.
That could be a whole nother subject,
So,
really.
so I picked a movie that is both a disaster of a movie and a movie about a disaster. The Core.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting you're the one guy who saw it.
Yeah, I'm that one guy. Yeah. It only got like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not, it's not a great movie. It is fun. I would consider it almost a B movie. It's a fun movie to watch. It definitely is. Extremely implausible. Everything about it, from, the idea that the core would just stop spinning to, yeah, exactly. Anything, from the idea that the core would just stop spinning because somebody, hit it with an electric shock, and to, creating a vehicle that can withstand those pressures out of, a very special material called unobtainium, which, we find later in the Marvel universe. Yes.
No, the Avatar.
Pardon?
Yeah.
And the Avatar, yeah. Well, yeah, it's also in the Marvel universe at some point too, isn't it?
What does Wolverine have? What's the metal in him?
Adamantium.
That's
Adamantium.
Adamantium. Okay, thank
yeah.
you. It was
So,
ringing
yeah.
a bell. Thank you.
Wasn't unobtainium in
It was in something other than Avatar,
Black
but-
Panther or
No.
something like that?
No, that's vibranium.
That's
It's
vibranium.
vibranium.
That's right. Unobtainium was in something else at some point.
There's
Anyway,
I will look it up while you
lithium,
talk.
Beryllium and arsenic and iodine.
yeah. But so yeah, they it's completely there's no possible. And then of course the kid rat who's like trying to keep the secret, or, trying to control the net and the flow of information and keep the secret away from the rest of the world. It's like one guy, I don't care how good of a hacker you are, can't do that. It would take an entire hacker farm, to do that. So, but yeah, it's an entertaining movie. It is fun. It is, got lots of action sequences with lightning and, holes opening up in the ozone and, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, anybody else actually ever watched it here, or am I the only
haven't.
one? Oh my God, I'm the only one again.
Sorry.
Okay, I just there's a Wikipedia page on Unobtainium, and apparently the term definitely predates Avatar. It's apparently from the 1950s, and it's used to describe any material that doesn't really exist or something that's super hard to obtain. Like when they were trying to pitch a space elevator in the 80s and 90s, they were saying you're going to need like an Unobtainium type material to build the space elevator.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, and I think
so. It's an inside joke in the movie, then too.
I guess I have to give James
for
Cameron
engineers.
a molecule of credit. It's actually a word.
Yeah. But there were some really good actors in it. They actually acted their hearts out and were actually quite. They were a bit hammy at times, but it was entertaining. It's one of those movies you watch it for a laugh and and they were poking fun at themselves through half the movie. I swear they were.
Right.
But you watch it for a laugh, you watch it for a little bit of fun, kind of sci-fi stuff going on, and let your mind kind of go with it. But otherwise, no, not a great movie. But so.
Hey, look, there's plenty of bad disaster movies that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty much anything by
I've seen
Roland
quite
Emmerich.
a few. I've seen quite a few. Yeah. So I guess that's back to you. There,
Does anybody else
Eric.
have anything else to say? Okay. Well, actually, I'm going to give it to Lance. Even though he's not here, he has told me a couple of movies he wants to cover.
Volcano.
And we're going to start with Dante's Peak. He wanted to talk about Dante's Peak. I love Dante's Peak. Of the two that came out that year, there was Dante's Peak and Volcano. My mom likes Volcano. I like Dante's Peak. I like Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton. I think the science, while still pretty silly, is more realistic than in Volcano, where it lets the La Brea tar pits erupt for some reason. The scene where the grandma gets out of the boat in the acidic spring water and is pushing them up to shore. It's kind of goofy, but it's still emotionally powerful. And you've got that one guy who I think is actually Dean Devlin, who goes coffee, 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 coffee. I quote that all the time. I think it's a great movie. So good choice, Lance. Does anybody else have anything to say about?
I probably haven't seen that since 1998. So yeah, it was. I remember it was a decent. It was a decent movie. I did like Dante's Peak a lot, so I need to rewatch it. So
it's good.
Yeah.
It's a little like the acid. The acid thing was a little bit it was a little implausible. It wouldn't happen that fast. But,
and there were other ways out of that situation. Really, she didn't have to do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess it is my turn now. So I'm going to talk about another one of those double up movies, and I'm only going to talk about the one, and that is Deep Impact.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. But
I love this movie because I want to vote for Morgan Freeman as president. He would be a better president than any president we've had in my lifetime. Ow, sorry.
You were alive during Reagan?
I was, yeah.
I'll let that slide.
I wasn't politically conscious in the 80s, okay?
I just want to out of curiosity.
Okay. In my adult lifetime, we'll say, okay?
It's all good.
It's got is it Tia Leone who's in it? The main actress is kind of weird. I can't remember her. And Frodo's in it.
Yep.
Anyway, the movie started life as two completely different things that I wanted to see. One was an adaptation of Arthur C. Clarke's Hammer of God, which Steven Spielberg was trying to get off the ground for years, but kept getting sidetracked by other projects. And he was originally going to direct it when the other asteroid movie came out, or was going to come out, and they knew that they had to rush it into production. He couldn't do it because he wanted to do Amistad instead, which, fair enough. Amistad's a great movie. So what they did is they combined it with another script that had been floating around, which was a remake of When Worlds Collide, which Also, one of my favorite 1950s sci-fis. It's like one of the 3 quintessential 1951 science fiction movies that started the whole 50s boom and all that. And they melded the two together until basically they were completely unrecognizable. You can't really see Hammer of God or When Worlds Collide in Deep Impact. But I think I like to believe the DNA is still there, and that's why I like the movie. I like it a lot better than the other asteroid movie, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, of the 2 asteroid movies that came out at basically the same time, I think weren't they that same summer or something?
They
like
were
that?
the same summer. They were only like a month apart, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I much prefer Deep Impact because it's like it's far more plausible. You know, it's far more real. It shows the human aspect a lot more, like what would actually happen in society, how would people deal with this, you know, how would people handle it emotionally and spiritually and so on and so forth, and the looting and the digging of shelters and things like that, and I just and the contingency plans and so on. I thought it was a much better movie overall. It wasn't as fun as the other one, but
True.
it was still I just think overall it was a better job telling the story,
Yes.
So
I agree.
Um,
And the characters were
absolutely-
less ridiculous. They were more human.
yes, yeah,
More
far more
relatable.
real.
Yeah, more relatable. In fact, the scene towards the end where Talione finally makes up with her estranged father, I believe,
Oh,
by Maximilian Schell.
yeah.
Was it
That could be
Maximilian
right.
Schell?
I think
I think so, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Give me
It's
a
been
second.
years since I've seen this movie.
It's the guy that was the captain on the Black Hole.
Boom. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Maximilian
Yes.
Schell. Yes,
Maximilian
thank you.
Schell.
Then it was him. And they finally reconcile at the end of the film. And she looks at him, and you think she's going to say something poignant and touching. She goes, "I stole $32 out of your wallet when I was 12." And I remember seeing it in the theater, and I burst out laughing because I'm like, you know what? If I was in a situation, that would that would be so.
And
It was just so realistic. No poetry, no flowery last words. Just I did this when I was a kid. I've always kicked myself for it, and I'm going to clear my conscience now. And then, of course, he makes a joke out of it. That's nothing. I dropped you on your head when you first came home from the hospital, and I'm like, that was one of the, in my opinion, that was one of the best Hollywood moments because it was just so organic. And that's why I agree with you. I think Deep Impact is a far better film than Armageddon.
He said it.
2 thumbs up. He said the word.
What?
It's just a running joke in my house. I don't talk about Armageddon. I don't say the name Armageddon because my wife prefers Armageddon. We don't discuss it.
I will say,
Yeah.
I will say, I completely agree with you and everything that has been said. However, I will say, I love Will Patton and Michael Clark Duncan. That's the only thing Deep Impact misses is those 2 actors. Other than that, everything else was right.
That was a movie when I went to go. Okay, we're going to talk about Armageddon. That's fine. When we were
We'll
in
call
the
it
movie
Megiddo.
theater, when I saw it for the first time, there was a moment where it's supposed to be dead serious, and Steve Buscemi says that he's suffering from space madness. And I literally bust out laughing in the movie theater all by myself. I was the only one laughing. And I think that was the moment I realized this movie is terrible. And I'm the only one who sees it.
Am I the one that took the crazy pill? No one else sees this? Yeah. Good, no.
You put on the sunglasses and saw the aliens.
Exactly.
Best analogy I can think of on such short notice.
So, to any sci-fi writers out there, if you're using space madness as a serious plot device, rethink that, please. Come
The
up
Ren
with
and
something better, and
The Ren
definitely,
and Stimpy
definitely don't
school
call
of
it space madness.
madness.
Oh, yeah.
Even one of my favorite bad movies, Pandorum, couldn't call it space madness. They had to call it Pandorum. And that's a bad movie, but I love it.
And
I like
let's be
Pandora, too.
honest,
Yeah,
like
that's a good one.
there's like the the DSM-5, right? Which this would then like fall under if you're talking about madness. The DSM-5 would never call it space madness.
Space madness.
It would come up. There would be some Latin term that they would derive this from that would you know,
low gravity psychosis or something. Or...
right.
Cosmophobia.
Yeah, cosmophobia. There you go.
I think I've heard that term before.
Extraterrestrial adjustment disorder, something like that. Like come on, man.
Terrestrially challenged.
Be a little bit creative, like
Yeah.
or just claustrophobia.
Fear of Germans?
Isolation sickness.
Claustrophobia would work. That would work because you're in a spacesuit and you're all claustrophobic in that thing. You know that. I mean, yeah, claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Claustrophobia. Fear of Germans.
Klaus.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. You guys can do better than that. And you call yourself a writer. For shame on you. Anyways.
Okay, it's your turn, Scott.
Oh crap. Okay. Let me go back to my list. All right. You know what? I'm going to talk about a one that a lot of people may not have seen, but it is really, really good. Let me pull it up here. So I can have all of the information for people. But it's called Z for Zechariah.
Never seen it.
I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's got I'm gonna kill his name. Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel. I had to learn how to pronounce that for my podcast with Lynn because we did a thing on Silo.
Yeah. Oh no. Excellent.
No, that's David Oyelowo. But yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Margot Robbie and Chris Pine, and it is. They don't even really get into it, like what happened. I'm guessing like a nuclear holocaust because they're concerned about radioactivity and stuff like that. And that so many people have died. They've been really isolated. Margot Robbie's family is left to go try and see if there's anyone else. And she has like an isolated farm that, due to certain factors, keeps it safe from the radioactivity, which is when they kind of broke it down. Like normally you'd be like, no, that's not true. But if you look at the Pacific Northwest and like the Washington area, because of the two mountain ranges and the sound and different things, the weather here is different compared to the other side of the Cascades, where it gets incredibly extreme weathers and very much similar to like North Dakota and whatever, because it's so open, you know, and that's what allows that area, that sound area, to be the Seattle, Tacoma, like all that area to be a rainforest.
Rain shadow effect, and then you have the Chinooks coming down along the sides of the mountains that go down to the prairies.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
anyway. So like it at first it's like, come on, are you kidding me? You're crazy. That would be ridiculous. But it actually like does have there's a basis for it. So that aspect of, you know, ridiculousness kind of then goes away. Then you throw in the like these actors and we have to rebuild triangular kind of concepts. And it like one of the things I really like is that people become a resource now, right? Especially as our history, women become a resource, like because of the fact of their fertility, and you know, they become a commodity, right? And you start to kind of see a little bit of this play out when there's competition for a person, right? And it's a great, it's slow going. It's very cerebral. It's not like action packed, but it really, if you start to like pay attention and think about the concepts and about the idea of rebuilding humanity, our basic like issues and problems as we're redeveloping ourselves, it's a really, really complex and excellently acted movie. It's 78 on Rotten Tomatoes. it is a very, very good movie. And so it's on Tubi, it's on Pluto TV, it's like free on all of those things. Like it's out there free.
Looking it up.
So is it more of a post-apocalyptic or like during the disaster? Does it show?
No,
like,
it's post disaster.
Oh,
so
okay.
like the disaster has happened, and how do we deal with this, right? So it isn't necessarily in the middle, but the disaster is still happening because of the radioactivity and all of these.
I will
things.
totally count post-apocalyptic. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. But
thought we already
looking
did
it up, apparently it was
post-apoc.
based on a novel by Robert C. O'Brien, the same guy who wrote Rats of Nim. You know, the whole behavioral sync and all that stuff. So it makes sense that this would be the kind of thing he would gravitate towards. I get it. That sounds really interesting, and now I want to both read the book and watch the movie.
Well,
Yeah, I want to
it's
watch the movie because that sounds really good, Scott. So
Well,
yeah.
it's funny, and I'm
Great
so glad
acting,
you mentioned
great
it, Scott, because I wanted to. I read the book, and I
Oh, okay.
deliberately didn't see the movie because it seemed like it changed it drastically from the source material. In fact, it sounded to me like they went more along the way of the world, the flesh, and the devil. Because in the book, it's just the girl whose name eluded me for the moment. I'm so sorry. It's the girl who's actually a teenager, and this
Yes, Anne
This-
Burden.
and this mad scientist shows up because he's got his hands on this sort of radioactivity protective space
Protective suit and everything. Yep.
So but it's just him. It's him and her, and I don't want to give the game away. When it becomes a triumvirate, that changes the entire dynamic.
Yes.
Now, on your recommendation, though, I must confess, because I'm like, should I give it a shot? Should I not give it a shot? I haven't, but I've always wanted to talk to somebody who did like it. So I may actually go out and watch it now, even though it seems like it differs wildly from
it does differ from the book, right? And I haven't read the book, but the movie review that I'm linking to this, like it's from What the Flick or whatever, and they talk about the difference between the movie and the book, right? And some of the I just don't think that if you were to actually be true to the book, there would be, like, in some ways, right, that it would be palatable for consumption when you're witnessing it and viewing it, especially when you take her age into consideration. Like, people will be like, whoa, that's gross, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so I think, and I also love that her name is Anne Burden, and like the in the movie, how much of the burden that she carries, right? And when you look at it from the male perspective of possession, and women are an object and a possession, but then you look at it from her perspective as the individual, and do I have freedom to do certain things? How do I make this dance, like do this dance, right? And what I do like about the movie is that with her character, she still holds on to a bit of a naivete about her, right? So she's not a child, but her character does still have a bit of innocence to her, right? And so to me, it does a really good job of not viewing it from a male perspective or a female perspective, but allowing each of the three people to have their perspectives and us see some of that clash. And then what happens when, like you said, it's two, then a third person comes in. Now what happens to the triumvirate? And there's a lot of things that they don't answer, but you're like, and leaves you to make the assumptions, right? And again, I love those, because to me, when we make assumptions and assume, it tells us more about ourselves than the other person, right? And so it makes an opportunity that whatever we assume about this allows us to reflect upon and is our bias accurate? What contributes to our bias? What contributes to our assumptions? It always leaves room for introspection. It's like, I really like that the movie doesn't try to answer things, right? And it does leave you with wait, where's the other 90 minutes of this, right? Like, when it finishes, you're like, wait, no, I need another 90 minutes. And most movies, when you kind of go, you're like, oh, it's that ended well, right? And so I always love movies where they don't answer things, and you're like, I want another 90 minutes, but it leaves it for you to create those 90 minutes for yourself.
No, that's cool. That sounds great.
Book has like a very, very, very open ending, almost dreamlike. But again, I don't want to give anything away. But on your recommendation alone, Scott, I'm actually gonna have to check this out.
It's good and it's free. I love anything that's free. I love to like post.
Oh, free where, by the way? I missed that part. Where can I see it?
Oh, it's free on Tubi, Pluto TV, VIX, and I think and
VIX?
Amazon Prime if you have an Amazon Prime subscription.
It doesn't, but I got Tubi.
Yeah, I love Tubi.
To be or not to be, it begs for it. I'm sorry.
Okay, Thrash, you're up.
Oh, I don't have any movies. I'm kidding.
That's all you're on.
I don't watch movies. What are you talking about?
The Gettysburg Address. I'm so relieved that science fiction is in the mix because the one I actually want to talk about most is actually science fiction. It's the movie itself is very badly known, but most people probably do remember it from its TV adaptation. It is Irwin Allen, and it is Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the feature film. One of my favorite disaster movies of all time. Outstanding cast, and everyone's at their best. You got Walter Pigeon as the stoic Ice One in the Veins commander. You offset by Peter Lorre in one of his last roles, and the man had so much energy considering that he was literally dying when he was making it.
Yeah,
he chews the scenery. He gives it such energy. It's kind of a, I don't want to say silly is the wrong word, but it's a sort of hokey action adventure movie, and he's putting his heart and soul like he's up for an Academy Award for it. You have at the time husband and wife team. Barbara Eden as the medical officer, and Hank Azaria, not Hank Azaria, bite my tongue. Michael Sarah.
Yeah,
Hank Azaria. I always
Sarah.
Yeah. And Sarah, from Soldier in the Outer Limits, one of my favorite episodes. But he plays this sort of professor / religious fanatic, and God knows we can't get enough of those, who actually sees the impending disaster as a gift from God. Again, see under we can't get enough of those. It just the story again. It's hokey action adventure, but it's great action adventure. It's almost episodic. Oh look, we're fighting a giant squid. Oh, now we're fighting a giant octopus. Oh, now our own navy is trying to kill us. And it's just that like nonstop comic book of a movie, which I loved as a kid and still love to this day. But they actually managed to splice it in with some really serious, I don't want to say plausibility, but they really convince you like stuff is about to get real. I mean, parts of the movie are actually very stoic. There are some men who try to desert just because they want to go and die with their families. And I'm like, you would see stuff like that even in the military, probably especially in the military, in this type of situation. So I thought it was not only incredibly entertaining, but incredibly poignant. It's very, very, very dated, but it's just such a fun watch.
It's one of those movies where the plot, the underlying premise is very silly. Like the Van Allen belts catch on fire for reasons. But like the human characters who inhabit this story are very real and feel very human. And that really, I think that is the essence of a good disaster movie, is the characters more than anything else. And I think Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is a great example of that. I have a review of it on my channel.
Yes, you do. I'm using that as the review.
Check out the description.
I found where you could, and I found where you can watch it for free. So watch Tug's movie review and get all excited about it, and then you can watch it for free on the Internet Archive. So
I highly recommend it as a double feature with Forbidden Planet, so that you get all the Walter Pigeon you can handle.
Nice.
If for no other reason alone, great double feature.
Yeah. Okay, Damien.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to do this one or that one. Let's go with The Day After. If anybody is not The Day After Tomorrow, the movie The Day After. It's from
Day After, yes,
84, I think, or something, or 83.
It was originally
83.
a TV movie.
83.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a TV movie. But it was basically it's a disaster movie with the aftermath kind of thing. During height of the Cold War, this was kind of almost a documentary style film showing what it would be like during the lead up to, during, and after a nuclear exchange with the Soviet Union. And though relatively realistic, the filmmakers themselves even said that no, it'd be far, far worse than that. This
Yeah.
was really bad and disturbing for people to watch, and we didn't want to make it any worse than that. So, but it would, an actual nuclear exchange would be far worse. So, but it's if you've never seen it, it is sobering to watch. When you think about it, like almost as if this is real events or could be real events. And it's almost it's one of those things where it's like it's even today we're worried about this happening. So especially now with some of the provocative moves by some of our not so friendly nations in this world, like North Korea and even a little bit into Russia. We're a little worried that or I'm a little worried at least that this kind of thing could actually happen someday. So. But anybody else seen it? I take. Thrash,
yes.
you have, yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a copy
Yeah.
of
On my
it, and
list.
I want to do a
you?
video
Yeah.
on it one of these days.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it's a great movie. Yeah.
directed by Nicholas Meyer, in fact, who Star Trek fans should know, and Sherlock Holmes.
I can't
fans,
place
too.
it.
Nicholas
I'm
Meyer.
racking
He
my
directed
brain.
Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6, and
Oh,
wrote
okay,
part of
thank
Star
you.
Trek 4. Yeah,
Thank you.
but he also did
Racking
Time
my-
After
all the good
Time, one of
ones.
my favorite movies. He's big into Sherlock Holmes. He's like written a lot of the ancillary Sherlock Holmes post Arthur Conan Doyle, like the 7% Solution is probably the most famous one. Nicholas
I love
Meyer's
that one.
great. He's done a lot of stuff. He's kind of crazy, but I like him as a writer. He's done some great stuff. And as a director, he's a good director too, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the things I truly loved about The Day After, and what makes it a true disaster film, is the fact that it takes the greatest amount of time setting the stage before the war. Most war, it's like Damnation Alley. The the film opens up, a couple guys make wisecracks, and then boom. No, the day after, there's a long. We meet all these families, and are introduced to what's going on in their lives. So when the war hits, you see, just in addition to the disaster, just how disruptive it is. One of my favorite. I can picture going through this with my mother. One of the favorite scenes in the movie is one of the families is getting ready for a wedding, and they have umpteen people coming to stay at the house. So the mother is making up the beds, and the father's like, "We got to get to the shelter. The bombs are flying. We're about to get hit. We got to the shelter." And she's ignoring him, and he literally has to drag her while she's trying to finish making this bed.
Picks her up, kicking and screaming, literally, and takes her downstairs. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, and
the
you don't know-
daughter in the
into-
wedding dress. Oh my God, that whole.
But you don't know, is she just in denial, or it's like, no. She's like, I have too much to do. I can't deal with this whole World War III right now. I've got to get ready to set up the house. And I can picture people doing that. And it just really landed it to me.
Yeah.
And another favorite scene, and I'm not going to just make it about favorite scenes, but when the college kids realize that the old style crystal radio wouldn't be fried by the EMP, and they're trying to get some shortwave, and one of them says, "Do we find out who started it?" And everyone kind of unilaterally goes, "At this point, does it matter?"
Yeah.
but yeah, it really gave a great cross section. Now, again, what you guys said about how a true nuclear exchange, it would have been much worse.
Mhm.
But I thought one thing it did very, very well, it gave a great cross section of what the types of problems you'd have to face would be in this sort of post-war world.
The hospital scenes are, they don't even really even show you, like, it's like the tip of the iceberg of what they would actually have to deal with. But like the doctor, dying from radiation poisoning and basically working up until, he collapses kind of thing. And then he's like, okay, I'm dying. I'm going to go find my house, and walks through that wasteland of, what was it? Kansas City. I think it was, anyway, to his house and finds,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Kansas City. I'm pretty sure it was, but anyway, if I'm wrong, correct me.
Wikipedia says Kansas City. You are correct.
Awesome. But yeah, walks to his house to find a family basically just is camping there, because there's nothing left of his house, just a chimney kind of thing. It's just all rubble, and he gets all mad at him and the doctor, and tells him to get out of his house and all that, and the guy just comes over to him and hugs him, and they cry together kind of thing. It was like, it was one of those moments where it's like touching. It's like, this man's dying from radiation poisoning, anyway, and he's lost his everything, and he just breaks down right there, and yeah, it's real, it has this feeling of being real,
It truly does. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Amazing. One last interjection, at least for me. Has anyone seen the English companion film?
I was going to bring that up next.
Oh.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah, I'm not fixating on the edge three. I'm sorry, Damien.
Sizzle for later.
my next pick.
Open mouth, insert foot.
Unless you want to bring it up on your next turn. I mean, we can all discuss it. I don't care. But
No.
Yeah.
As long as it's read to the record,
Yeah.
or not read to the record, I'm happy.
Gotcha.
But yes, great film.
Okay, well, I haven't seen him in the comments in a while, but I'm still going to give Lance his turn, because earlier he mentioned Daylight, which is Sylvester Stallone in the Lincoln Tunnel when it collapses. I actually like this movie more than I think a lot of people do. A lot of people don't seem to like this movie for some reason. I think it is a perfectly serviceable disaster movie. It's very cliche, but the idea of being trapped in a Lincoln Tunnel when both ends have collapsed and you're about to drown underneath, I think it's really cool. So I think good choice, Lance. I like Volcano, or not Volcano. I don't like Volcano, but I do like Daylight. I got it mixed up with Volcano because my mother also really likes Daylight. So has anybody else seen Daylight? Is it just me?
I think I have, but it's been a long time. It came out in what, 96?
It was like the late 90s. I think it was like
96.
98,
Yes,
99.
it was 96.
96.
Yeah,
Okay.
If I've seen it, it was that long ago kind of thing. It was probably 97.
I felt like it kind of got buried, no
Yeah.
pun intended, under a lot of disaster movies that were coming out around the same time, and just kind of got lost in the mix.
No,
Okay,
but it's
so,
got
that means it's my
it's
turn.
got a Sylvester Stallone. It's got his son Sage Stallone,
Yeah.
who I think was also in Rocky, one of the Rocky movies. It's got Viggo Mortensen, Amy Brennan. Like, it's got
It's a good movie, man.
really,
It's got a
it's
great
got a good
cast.
cast.
It's
Yeah,
again, it's one of those movies where like the characters really carry it. Like, damn.
Oh yeah, I've seen
I
it.
haven't-
It's just
yeah,
been a
I haven't-
very, very long
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it.
And it was like a lot of the cast, like Viggo Mortensen. I mean, this is before they were big, like before you even knew who Viggo Mortensen was,
right.
But he's always been a good actor. I mean, he was even in a really terrible Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go. Let's see. Do I want to go crazy or do I want to go realistic? I'm gonna go realistic. I'm gonna go with Alive. Which is the movie about the plane full of the soccer team that goes down in the middle of. I mean, it's the Brazilian soccer team in real life, but they're played by people like Ethan Hawke. They're not Brazilian at all. But it's a really great movie about desperation. You are lost in the mountains, in the snow. You've got nothing. You have no resources. You've just got a plain fuselage filled with dead bodies basically, and you've got to make do. You've got to figure out how to survive in this and how to like find help if you can even find help. And like the characters very quickly start to get very bleak and start to feel like they've lost everything, that there's no chance of survival and they might as well just give up. And then you've got Ethan Hawke's character, who spends the first half of the movie in a coma, basically. And when he wakes up, he's like, what are you people doing? Why are you just laying here? Let's go. And he goes and hikes and eventually finds some way of getting them rescued. It's a really good movie. And yeah, it does deal in people who eat people. Because in desperate times, you never know what hunger can do to you until you've actually experienced it. And they needed to do that to survive. And this movie makes a very good case for having to do that and getting rid of these people faced, like in real life, these people faced a massive backlash for it. Like hardcore. They had to deal with a lot of garbage.
Even the movie was controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
the movie was controversial for not doing that, for not like denouncing them, So yeah, Alive. I really, really like this movie in terms of, I don't want to sound cliche, but the power of the human spirit in desperate times and all that. I feel like it's a great disaster movie, and one that absolutely holds up.
Yeah, I've seen that movie probably, I don't know, a dozen times because they played it on HBO over and over and over and over
HBO.
and over again for like 10 years or something.
And you're right. It was Uruguay.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's a great movie. I like how realistic it is. Just overall, like, and when the characters have to make that decision to actually like to survive, to eat other people, it's like the feel of that whole moment, it's like you can tell, it's like they're like so hesitant and so against it. Some of them are, and then and what is it, the one guy that holds out and doesn't eat, and he deteriorates and deteriorates, but just that the moral like dilemma to do or to do that or not, just that the way they confront that, just it's like, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but that was a hard decision, I'm sure, for all of them. But just it was a very good movie, well put together, well written,
And yes, very bad thing was the again, as you said, the backlash. If they hadn't suffered enough, the backlash they suffer afterward.
The rugby team. There you go. Good job.
Yeah.
So I like to me,
not the Brazilian soccer team, but the Uruguayan rugby team.
Rugby, soccer, Brazil, Uruguay, whatever.
Like rugby and soccer, really, like, aren't they the same thing? And then also Uruguay and Brazil. I mean, isn't South America just one country? Like, come on. It's all down there stuff. No, but like, that's gonna get me in trouble. That's a joke. Please don't cancel me. No, but the thing like that, because I remember watching it. And I spoke on this, right? Because in fact, I just posted a Facebook post on my personal Facebook about, when, and this is what I think it's a Milgram's experiment that he did with the reflecting the Nazi, like, how could the Nazis do this or whatever? So we had people come in with the lab coat and electrocute, right? And he faced such backlash because the participants were trying to say that they would never do this. I would never do something like this. This is that I was manipulated into it, right? To denounce, like, it wasn't me, it was them, but it was a reflection of our nature, right? And some of the things that we've been taught, trained, all these different things, like, and you can never make, and I worry people to make these judgments if you've never actually walked in their shoes, right? And so, and we do that all the time with just looking around, like, oh, someone has that we look at things as moral failings of people without trying to delve into the understanding of what their experience is. And the thing that I love about this movie is that it absolutely portrays the struggle that people have, right?
Oh,
And
totally.
the moral difficulty. And you're right. They did denounce the movie, which I thought, which now in reflection, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I was young then, so I didn't care. It was 83. I was like, I think either still in middle school or just getting into high school.
93.
Oh, was it 90? Oh, yeah. So
93,
elementary
93.
or middle school. And I did watch it, which I'm like, really? I watched that? That's weird. I was a little bit young for that, but whatever.
I mean, other than the
still watch
whole
a lot of
eating
high
people
school,
thing,
we,
it's
we
not
were
that-
probably 8th, 9th
Yeah.
grade when that came out. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I'm like middle school or whatever, but like still like I'm like, I don't know if I would like be all about like letting my kids, right? Anyways, but there's plenty of things that I watch that I question now.
Just
And answers a lot of questions about me. But no, I think that they actually did do a great job of expressing the conflict that they had, right?
mhm,
And
yes.
in that movie, and that it wasn't something that they were just like, time to eat me, Jimmy, right? It's like, no, like it was a real struggle because these are their friends, right? And not looking at the psychological trauma and toll that this plays on people, and that we make this assumption that that it's such an easy thing to do, and I would never do that. But you can never make that judgment until you are in those shoes, because there are so many factors that we aren't considering, but we are
No,
quick
and like
to
I said
judge.
before, if you have never experienced starvation, and I say this as somebody who's never experienced starvation, you can't really
Right.
speak on it. Like, if I go without eating for a day, and let's forget the fact that I'm diabetic and probably going to a coma, but like, if I went without eating for just a day, I would start to think a grapefruit looks delicious, you know?
Mhm.
Your gut brain will override everything in your brain and
Yes.
tell you that you can eat just about anything. And if you are literally starving, like you are about to die, your brain will scream at you to eat whatever you can. And if the only thing
absolutely.
available is that, you're gonna eat
That's
it.
what you're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
sorry, guys. I would eat all 3 of you if I was.
You would be full for a long time.
Well, if I was stuck in that situation for months and months and months, you know,
Well,
we'd
start
have,
with
like,
me. I would produce
natural
the most meat.
refrigeration.
So start with me. The other two might have a chance.
I'm
I'll
not
lay
saying I
over
would
and give
kill
up,
you and
yeah.
eat you. I'm saying I would eat your dead bodies if you guys had
Right,
died.
right.
But you know,
and that's
I don't
another
know.
Waste
thing.
not, want not.
Don't say it until you've been
Yeah.
in the situation.
yeah,
Right.
They weren't killing each other. They weren't like going, ah,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Right.
like, you know,
there
they're
were
already
literally
dead.
dozens and dozens of dozens of dead bodies. You know, so yeah.
I don't know. If I were
Anyway.
stuck in the wilderness with Scott, after like 2 or 3 days of him talking about the oligarchy, I might be willing to consider killing him.
I am so tired of this. Enough, dude. Enough. I
Scott,
gotta
you just,
kill him.
you just sit over there. I'm gonna go sharpen this stick real quick. Here.
Right.
Well, in the last days of World War II, I guess cannibalism among the imperial military in the Philippines was
Yeah.
redonkulous to the
Yeah.
point where, well, I don't want to start casting aspersions. I don't want to get any of us canceled, but it became almost a program. You know, one story I heard was about a commanding officer who was looking for deserters, not to replenish his diminished forces, but to serve as, well, cattle, really. I
We
don't
did
know
start
how,
this thing with food, didn't we?
I don't know how, that's probably exaggerated, but it just shows the desperation they were getting in the
Right.
rainforest.
My grandmother was German, living in Germany during World War II. At the end of World War II, when Germany was in complete devastation and there was no infrastructure, there was no nothing. Many of the German people, just the regular people, were just left to basically to fend for themselves for several months. Even though like supplies were coming in, it wasn't making it to everybody. My grandmother was one of the ones that was starving to death. And she explained to me what it was like. It's like, well, you're hungry, but you're not. Your body is screaming at you to eat, but your stomach feels like it doesn't want to eat anything, you know?
Yes.
But people were eating anything they could, anything, like from seeds to things that would normally be considered poisonous, like berries, certain types of berries, to rats. you know, she said she ate quite a few of those. So you will, when you are starving to death, you will eat anything. That's what it comes down to, you know. But and it's a horrible, horrible thing. So, but anyway.
I had a professor that was like in the summer, and she spoke about like, because like even comparatively, like with on the Western side, right? They had the Americans, and that was a luxury, even though it was horrible, right? But on the Eastern side with the Russians and all of the forces that they brought in, they were killing people and stuff like that. She was like I can tell you in great detail what horse tastes like, and there's a reason why we don't eat horse, right? Because they sweat in some way. Berlin people ate horse meat. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And like she was like, you can taste the uric acid, because some of the urine is sweated out of their skin, and it goes through the meat and all that, and it's this disgusting kind of flavor or whatever. And she was like, I can go into great detail. Like we were trying to eat anything, cats, all this different stuff, because it was absolute starvation.
Dogs.
And yeah, no. Like we don't, and like, and so like when you think of things like the Marshall Plan and why Germany is now such a great ally of ours, you know, like this stuff makes a difference, right? And you know, and yeah, it's you cannot to you know, as what's his name that was the defense secretary under Bush,
Rumsfeld.
Rumsfeld, yeah, he said like
Rumsfeld,
Rumsfeld. No, like he was like the known knowns, the unknown, the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknowns unknowns. Like your unknown unknowns, you have to really be aware of that what you don't know about, that you don't know what you about what you don't know, and that concept of judgment and judging others without understanding their situation. Like you really have to be mindful of that, because you never know what you're going to do or what you're willing to do for survival. And so,
yeah. And like you mentioned, the Milgram experiments or like the Stanford prison experiments, you know,
yes,
people will do horrible things with just a little bit of prodding.
Yep. With not much,
Okay,
like
so
sometimes not much prodding.
I hate that, like, one of the most ridiculous sounding things Rumsfeld ever said was also probably one of the most, like, poignant things he ever said. One of the most accurate things he ever said.
All right.
Okay, your turn, Scott. I think this might be the last round.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. We're gonna have to do so many. You know what? I'm gonna go a little bit weird.
Oh, we don't do that funky here.
I'll save that for the next one. All right, I'm gonna just bring up. I'll bring up Ad Astra.
Ad Astra. I actually had that on my list too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monkeys in space.
Yeah. No, it's like
those monkeys are terrifying. That's the only thing I remember about that movie.
Like, oh God, yeah. Oh my God. Like, yeah, when they go ape, and like the cowardice of the bravery of the captain and the cowardice of the second, you know, the co-pilot or whatever, like, and when they face the monkeys and Brad Pitt's experience and all this different stuff, and like I love, first off, the psychological reviews were hilarious, because you're like, that's not a real psychological review, but I can absolutely see it being used, because we need quick and easy rather than actually doing the job, and for cost effectiveness. And then the concept of growing up with your dad who wants to be somewhere, anywhere other than you, like, is devastating and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And when he and his dad is seen, and Tommy Lee Jones, Brad Pitt's dad, Tommy Lee Jones, is seen as such a hero. And you go throughout this, and you're, you know, the propaganda of what kind of hero your dad is, yet the ambiguity mixed, you know, that kind of propaganda that's being pushed on you, but the ambiguity of your internal knowledge of like, really? Because you know him better than I do. Like, I know him as much as you do. right? From the stories and things like that. I never, I never really got to talk to him. He never raised me. And and then to finally meet your dad, and there's a state, I guess I'll give this away, but like he says, like he never really wanted to be a dad, right? And like never wanted a family. He always wanted to look to space and do all these things, like the heartbreak, right? And the
I mean, what did you expect from a curmudgeon? I mean, your dad is Tommy Lee Jones. Of course he's going to be a curmudgeon.
Yeah, right. Haven't you seen him at all the award shows? Like, God, listen to the dude. No,
he cannot sanction your
buffoonery. What do you expect of your dad? But no, I just, it was such like the thing that rings so true is the chaos and the loneliness and the isolation and the going into space, and your dad is causing these problems, and the agency wants to keep this quiet because we've propped up this hero, right? This hero worship, and we have to protect it and protect our industry and the face of our industry. And you see that like in things like the NFL and the ways that they cover up, the behavior of their players, especially when their players are the face of the franchise, all these different things that they do, that these industries do. And you're seeing this in a movie and you're like, yep, that makes total sense. That makes absolute 100%. And to me, just Brad Pitt, his character in that is one of the most heartbreaking characters I've ever seen in a movie. Just everything about it is just it's a great movie. I don't know. I liked it.
I remember liking it, but like I said, I don't really remember the details. I do now that you mentioned all that scene with Tommy Lee Jones in the end. I do remember it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he has to go stop his dad.
Yeah,
right.
There's some interesting scenes in that movie, like on the moon when they're being chased and stuff like that. And but then there's a lot of it that's kind of plodding and a little slow, but so it kind of has the pace goes up and down. So it's an interesting movie. It's a good movie. And yeah, the ending where he's got to face his dad and whatnot, like you were saying, Scott, that's just it's heartbreaking and all that. And but yeah, good movie. So been a minute since I've seen it though. But
I like the plotting nature of the movie, because when you watch things like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, right? Like we think about all the action and adventure and all this different stuff, and that's what sci-fi does a lot of, right? But it's so untrue, because even like asteroids are thousands of miles apart. Like the vastness of space we don't get, right? There is no weaving through an asteroid field. It's just like going through an open, like a prairie. Like, what are you gonna driving
a prairie with a rock here and there that you
I'm driving with my cousin in North Dakota. I'm like, how can you have a beer in your hand? And he's like, what am I going to hit? Look around you, my friend. There is nothing. Do you see another car? Nope. Do you see anything out here? Nope. Like, what am I going to hit? That's space, right? But in such a much more vast thing. And the plotting aspect, you're traveling. You're talking about months to years of just that's boring. Right. And to me, that's what I really love about the plotting aspect, is that so much of this that we think about space and this adventure, it's every single moment is danger, because at any point in time, something goes wrong, you're out, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done, son. Right. But at the same time, nothing's happening. And it's a lot of hurry up to wait. Right. And so that's to me what I love about the pace, is that to me, it reflects what space is like.
Yeah. For sure. I liked the pacing of the movie. It's just, it's just mentioning
it is.
that.
I'm not afraid of
it's a good
movies.
Yeah, it's
like
it's
that,
a
that
good
it was,
yourself to get yourself to be a
plotting, but at the same time, it had intermixed sections of action in there that it's so it would keep you re-engaged if you were starting to lose the plot kind of thing, So, but it's just overall good movie, good cinematography. If I remember
two of my
correctly,
favorite movies, sci-fi movies of all time, are 2001 and Solaris, and compared to them, Ad Astra's on caffeine and methamphetamines. Okay, Thrash, I believe it is your turn.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go for another classic. Not quite as fanciful as my last one, but one of my favorites. Flight of the Phoenix.
Ah, yes, very good.
Thank you. Again, ensemble cast, and again, everyone is at their best. Jimmy Stewart playing kind of a badass in this one. George Kennedy again at his best. Can't remember the German actor's name. All I can think of is Kurt Jürgen. But I thought he was great. But just the idea, a plane crashes in the desert.
Was this remade in 04?
It was.
Yeah, with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah,
It's actually not bad.
Okay. I've seen the remake. I haven't seen the original. Sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
I haven't seen the remake, so I can't say whether or not it's better or not. I've heard it's not bad, but as you know, I'm kind of a purist, except for things like
I
1
wouldn't
Million
say
BC.
it's better. I would say it's almost on par though. It's really good. Dennis Quaid is excellent in it.
But they because of an accident they crash in the desert, can't radio for help, and it shows just how easy it would be to really get. Well, I don't want to use that word. To just get screwed. You're stuck in the middle of the desert. Yet you can't contact anyone, and there's this feeling of hopelessness. But then one of them says, "Eureka! See, I'm a plane engineer, and I think we can rebuild this plane into another plane that will actually fly us out of here." And everyone's like, "Oh, we're saved, we're saved!" And of course, they go through many trials and tribulations, and there's of course conflict among the group. And that's another great thing about these disaster movies. It's as much about the conflict and infighting and drama between the characters as it is the actual disaster that they're actually trying to survive. And spoiler alert, so anybody who doesn't want to have this film ruined before they start watching it, turns out that the German plane engineer is a plane engineer, but he doesn't design real authentic people carrying planes. He designs model aircraft, and they all kind of go kablooey because they can't make themselves believe that anyone who designs toy planes could get them out. And he has to explain to them, "Oh, no, it's the same principle.
It's the same principles it is, yeah.
Is aerodynamics." And of course, it's dramatic right down to the end, and I love this film. It was turned on to me when I was in high school. It was one of my English teacher's favorite movies, and he told me I had to watch it because I was becoming like a film buff even at that point, and so I fell in love with it 40 years ago and have loved it ever since.
I think Scott can put his headphones back on. So.
Oh
yeah, I've seen the remake, and from what I understand, is basically the same story. But yeah, the story overall is, good story. That's all I'll comment.
So anyway,
on,
when that one guy died.
Whatever you do, don't tell Scott. Oh, hi, Scott.
No. Because I wanna watch it, because I found it free on YouTube. So when this posts, I'm sending all this stuff to, because I have almost everything done already for one. So I'm going to send it to Eric immediately. So when you find this post, go back to here and then click the YouTube link, and then it'll take you to a free version of the movie on YouTube. So, but anyways, I want to watch it and then come back and listen to.
I'd like to see the original
as the one
65
person
version. Yeah.
As the one person who's seen both of them, they are both good. And they both have incredible casts. Like the remake has, like I said, Dennis Quaid. It also got like Hugh Laurie, Giovanni Ribisi. It's really good. Like they're both excellent. So I recommend them both. But you should watch the original first, obviously, because it is the original.
I'm gonna put links for both of them in there since we talked about both.
Yeah. Okay, so Damien, it's all up to you. This is the last one.
Okay. Well, I guess since we already kind of blew it a minute ago, I'll just go with Threads since we already. I was gonna kind of throw in something funny instead, and so I could kind of spread out the depressing movies a little bit. But Threads is one of those is again nuclear holocaust, but from told from the British perspective. It is a British movie, and it's the lead up to the actual event and then the
I like how you go like
aftermath.
this
And
when you say British. Yeah. Your stiff upper lip.
Your stiff upper lip. Well, considering I am, half. So, anyway, I'm half stiff upper lip and half goose stepper. So, Um,
Good combination.
Anyway, it's another one of those, the lead up to the nuclear exchange, what happens during the actual event, which is actually more graphic and explicit, in Threads than it was in the day after. I think Threads is actually more disturbing of a movie to watch. If you don't like realistic, or movies that are trying to portray something realistic, then don't watch this movie, because it is, it'll make you, it'll be like clutch your pearls kind of thing, but it's disturbing. It might even give you bad dreams, so. And then the aftermath, it actually stretches out, what is it, 30 years or something? I can't remember
14,
what they said.
15 years.
Yeah, okay.
14, 15
oh,
years.
okay, yeah. Like the daughter of one of the main characters, it's, and it's, again, it's like in the day after, they talk about, like, they show the lives of people. There's certain groups and how they're, living their life and the lead up to and the news, and then what they are all doing during the exchange, and then which ones survive and which don't, and how they live their life after. And one of the main characters has a daughter after, and then they show her grow up, but just glimpses, not like her whole life. And don't they just end? I don't want to spoiler alert kind of thing, but I think they end it with her gasping at her own child's birth because it was deformed. They don't actually show it, at least not in the version I watched. I'm not sure if they do.
They don't show it, but no, yes, it's
it's disturbing. Yeah,
she ends up in like some type of a clinic, and first they even try to turn her away.
Yeah,
but she literally has the baby right there. And
I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to tell you
that. That's your cue. Take your headphones off if you don't want to hear it.
Yes. I'm
with
sorry.
No time whatsoever to like.
I get caught up in the moment. I get caught up in the moment. But the scene is the way the scene ends. I remember watching it when I was a teenager, and I just sort of sat there going, it's like I was catatonic. I mean, like, I was having a sixth sense moment, like the hair on the back of my neck was standing up, saying, "Oh God, it can't end here! It can't end here! Oh dear God, it ended!"
You're like, "Oh crap!"
if day after makes you sad, Threads will make you die inside. It's and I cannot minimize it.
A small part of me is dead from watching that movie.
Although I was such a pig of a teenager
making me
when I
want
was
to
a
watch
kid.
it.
Well, but here's the funny thing. Again, I was a teenager, and shall we say a typical healthy teenager, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is so sad. They're going to die." Oh, because it's just, the main couple is the sort of the focus, and it kind of branches out from them with their families.
It's the main couple and their two families, basically.
Families, exactly.
For the most part.
But and a few other people, but those are the crux, the linchpin. And I go, "Oh, it's so sad. They're going to die. They're going to die. It's so sad. They're going to die. It's so sad." Damn, his sister's hot. And I remember
But
I remember watching, going, "Oh man, I was such a pig." I mean, here I am trying to watch this very serious work, and
and the way they portray the breakdown of authority, and how it becomes, like the civilian government just becomes completely gone. It basically, if you're not in a place of, military or police authority or, emergency services, then you no longer really matter, and you're ineffective. Then they don't care about you. They didn't even dig out the government officials until like 30 days after they all died or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
They couldn't get earth movers in.
Yeah,
because all the buildings had fallen.
Yeah,
and
so
and also like and it's so funny because this came out of England with the whole the spirit of the Blitz and all that. There's this scene, and there's a companion piece, not a companion piece, but it'll make a great double feature. A British mockumentary called The War Game, which is and talking about the same situation, what they would have to do is they'd have all these people who were homeless because their homes had been destroyed in the nuclear war, and they would be compulsorily billeted with these other homes, and the people wouldn't necessarily want that. And there's this one scene in Threads where there's this old man who's living in clearly by himself. He's living in this house. They put a bunch of people in to live there with him. The soldiers do. The soldiers leave, and like literally the minute they're out of sight, he just throws them all out. And the implication is, I'm like, well, when I first thought, I'm like, well, just go tell the soldiers they're too busy. They don't have time to go back and revisit issues. You know, you're on your own, kid. And that's really the spirit of it. This whole you're on your own, kid. Literally, there's like no one who is going to help you. And it's very, and it's so funny. It intersperses with Jane is the main woman, I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
She keeps having dreams of what it would be like if the war hadn't happened. Like, she has this dream in one scene where it's Christmas Eve and her baby is very healthy, robust, and clean in this very cute snowsuit in a stroller. And she would have been nice if this is the life I could have given my baby instead of just like killing rats. You know?
Yeah.
It's
when Jane dies and the way she dies, you know, first she collapses in the field and you know, I guess her daughter gets her back to bed and she we're assuming dies the next day or within a few days, but you know, she goes to wake her up for work. She's ma work, and she's just, you know, can't get up, and then she dies. And the way everybody's so callous to the death, you know, like there's no funeral, there's no nothing. Jane's daughter, I can't remember her name in the movie, but just moves on. Like it's like, okay, mom's
people
dead.
die.
Yeah.
And also
people die all the time.
The idea that in this they would be living so hand to mouth that like every available hand would have to like be trying to grow crops. There would be like no time to socialize and educate these children. That, as you say, she didn't say, "Hey, mom, wake up! It's time for work." She's like, "Work, Jane."
Jane, work. Yeah, that's right, Jane. Work, Jane.
And a lot of the words she aren't even real words. Like when she talks to, I don't want to call them her friends. But the guy that ends up raping her. Yeah. Sorry. Being mean to her. But when they talk, they're like, "Oh yeah, give it, oh yeah." It's like they don't even speak proper English. It's almost like they got Anthony Burgess. No, bite my tongue. I'm so sorry. The guy who did Clockwork Orange.
Oh, Anthony Burgess.
Yeah.
I was right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
And how he made a faux speech pattern. They actually literally speak the sort of bastardized English because again there've been no resources to teach them. It's just so unrelentingly sad. Not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, and you're not making me want to see it.
It's a tough watch.
If you but
it sounds like a good film. It does sound very good. Like
if you like realistic documentary style fiction, then that's what this is. So they did an amazing job of it. Is what why we're going on.
I get that.
They did an amazing job. So,
but it's not again. If you have sensitivities.
I kind of feel like traumatized by watching the HBO version of Chernobyl. I'm glad I watched it. It's very well made. I never want to see it again.
Oh, that is such a
it's
good
brutal.
movie. Oh, or I mean TV show. It is so good and a definite must watch.
Once.
Yes.
That should be on the list. Maybe I'll check that out.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
It's just called Chernobyl.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just called Chernobyl. Yeah. It was only a couple of years ago. It was pretty good. I think it was coming out. I think it came out like in the middle of the pandemic, so everybody watched it. Yeah.
If you had HBO, that is.
Yeah, if you had HBO or Max or whatever they're calling it now. So that's it for today. We are done. There will be a part 2 and probably a part 3 because that's how these things go. But stick around on my channel at 2:00. I am dropping a compilation of all of my Star Trek reviews. So that's an 1.5 hour long video for you guys. And I can tell you that with my internet connection, that was fun to upload.
Oof.
And let's see, Thrash, I'm guessing has a stream tonight.
Tonight
I will,
at
of course, be
7:30.
there.
Everyone welcome. In fact, it's compulsory.
Yes.
Yes.
You must attend.
You
We will
attend
find
my
you if you
show.
don't.
You will attend my show.
Names will be
Everybody,
taken
make sure you
and
like
written.
and subscribe to Tug's channel. Like this video.
Yes,
and
thank
subscribe.
you very much. So yes, and hello to everybody who's here from Harold's channel. So, also like and subscribe to him, of course. Do it. I want to thank. There was a lot of really good commenters here. There was also a lot of names I'd never seen before. So thank you for showing up and being here for me. That's great. I hope you had fun. And like I said, anything that you guys mentioned in the comments that I seem to ignore, it's because I know we're going to talk about it. Okay. So there were a few movies that people were talking about that I was like, I don't want to say anything because we're going to talk about this movie. Shut up. So, and also, I agree with the random digression on Timothy Oliphant. I love Timothy Oliphant. He's great. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but he's great. And let's see.
He's awesome.
I would normally plug From Here to Paternity, but we already did our stream this morning, nice and early. So you can still go back and check it out retroactively and listen to us talk about AI taking over the universe. That's
They
always
are
fun.
coming.
They already have.
And let's see. Next Sunday, I have a review of Brainstorm, the movie that made Douglas Trumbull quit Hollywood. I'm really looking forward to this video, wanting to make it for years, just because all the behind the scenes stuff is so fascinating to me. And anything with Christopher Walken. Come on, you got to talk about Christopher Walken. Other than that,
Gotta have more cowbell.
I wanted to do a cover of These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Oh yeah. So if I can, I've got. So I had on YouTube. I had my 23rd episode of the Pal World series drop. It's my channel's family friendly, so you can watch it with your kids. I try to be very supportive, very nurturing, and some of the I do it with Chaotic Kitten and Magic Bunny and Linja the Space Ninja, and Chaotic Kitten will bring up some very interesting comments about that she notices about video games and some of them, the subtle misogyny from a very innocent perspective. And we've had conversations about that. And then next week, next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we're going to have, I'm having We Are Wrexham episode 4 drop. And again, we have a special reporter that comes in and does his reports for us.
that guy's weird.
I know. Great. Like my kids love it. And and with my stuff, I've been doing some updating to, like, I'm gonna go do, and because I'm also got Twitch streams that I do, and I've done that with Joe Ron Unprepared that I've done before, and doing some more of those on Twitch. And then also I'm going to be editing and shrinking down my videos so that they can go on TikTok, and going to be doing some live streams on TikTok too. Yeah. Yeah, Bastette's just passed out this whole time. She's just been...
For all the Mr. Pickles fans.
Damien does take requests, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
That's right.
He's been sleepy. Well, he's still sleepy. I just
Okay, so
dragged him off his
save
bed.
your lists, guys. And
Yes.
go check out Harold the Hatter's channel. Go check out Thrash's live stream. I know most of you in the comments will, of course. And I'll see you
it's
then.
awesome.
Peace. Not everyone.
Peace.
So, au revoir.
Bye.